Last things first, you already win. You already him, you don't gotta pretend. Fuck them, you already king. You stay real, you confident in your skin. It's all now, sit in the power that you already in. This the story of a master from a true Bedouin, far away from home than few ever been. First round pick, league of the smooth gentleman. The game rigged like 50 said it's a cruel sentiment. I'm from the era when lyrics and bars is over everything. 5-star veteran. You couldn't walk in my fucking shoes or carry them. Excuse my borderline is very thin. Married to the game like ever since maybe 2010. I realized most of y'all not serious. Point blank period. I flex and twist necks like cherry stems. Thought he was buried, but there he is. A new narrative. What up? What up? What up? What up? What up? What up? How we doing? It's October 27th. It's a little later than usual. It's 11 p.m. where I'm at. And this is how Billy sees it. And it's 30 for 30, man. We're doing 30 episodes in 30 days. And this, I think, is episode 97 of how Billy sees it. In the 30 series, it's episode 14. We are moving along. We're chugging along. It's fantastic. How we doing, y'all? I'm feeling good. I'm feeling really good. We had a good weekend here. We're about to, what is it? It's the end of October, so that means it's Halloween time. Sheba and I went to a party with a good friend of ours, Unique. She threw a real nice party, actually. It was her first party in this new apartment she got. It was legit. Yeah, we did some Halloween stuff. That's why I'm clean shaved. When you look at the face, you're like, what happened to the beard, Billy? I look completely different now. I'm kind of partial to the beard, real talk. Like now I look and I'm like, what the fuck? My whole face looks totally different to me. But I went to this party as The Rock. Sheba and I did The Rock and Kevin Hart from Jumanji. I have some pics of that up on the Instagram probably. But in order to be The Rock, I had to, keep the clean shaven hair and the clean face. He's pretty boy Rock. He keeps it clean shaven all the time. And my beard, the way it grows, it gets a little unruly, and it's not quite The Rock. It wasn't giving Rock. So we went with the clean shaven face, and it worked. And we got some fun pictures because Sheba has this. She really mastered. I hate that she does. I can't stand it, but she's mastered that awkward, like confused Kevin Hart face. She's really good at it. She could just kind of flip that on in a dime, and that's what she did, and that's what we did, and it was a fun time, Let's see. Sheba says, beautiful apartment, fun party it was. You have a beautiful face. Does take some time to get used to the clean shaven face. Yeah, it's a different deal, man. It's a different face. It's a whole different face. But I fuck with it. Your boy's handsome. Okay? I'll take it. I'll take it with the beard too. It's a different look altogether. Anyway, we keep rolling with how Billy sees it. This has been so much fun. It's really, we're getting to the halfway part or halfway to the 30, right? So tomorrow will be 15. And just coming up with topics. I'm literally like in the daytime, it'll just pop up like, yo, gotta come up with something to talk about. And obviously, I don't have to come up with anything. We could just come and really just free ball it and just see where it goes. And I've done that also, but sometimes it's good to kind of think about something a little bit, come with that. So what came today as I was thinking was like, it was a combination of all the other stuff that we've been talking about. We've been talking about lots of different things over the last 14 days. About identity and about God and about religion and about little politics. We've been all over the place. Okay? And it's been really an interesting stretch for me to do this every day and to get into some of these ideas. So applause for me. Okay? Applause for me. Getting in here, blessing myself with the work of kind of like articulating these things and blessing y'all with this stuff. I appreciate it. I hope y'all appreciate it. I know some of y'all do. Some of you guys tell me directly, and I appreciate that very much. I really do. And so today I was thinking about, in a previous episode, I was talking about, I'm always talking about speaking up. I'm talking about journalism and the need for more journalists, the need for more people who are intentional and adept at looking at what the world is and then giving language to that. And that's a real thing, and that's a real valuable thing. And if you're watching our channel for a while, you know that one of the big problems that I see in the world is that we've lost our connection with the people who are interested in truth and are doing that work. So the journalists, the scientists, these domains that have some connection to truth have been, whatever word you want to use, infiltrated, compromised, have been, they've lost their way. The grounding foundations of how to do their work can be undermined, and they have been. Science has their own problems. I'm not even going to talk specifically about science. My domain, the thing I'm most comfortable talking about, has to do with like journalism, which is, a little different. But the similarity is that element, the key element of like, I'm interested in truth. I'm not here just to entertain you. I'm not using words just because someone paid me and we're exchanging when I'm doing an art thing and I'm gonna recite this script and we're doing a whole performance. No, this is related to truth. I'm helping you understand the truth. that's the premise. Um, but anyway, when talking about some of the bigger things going on in the world, massive international crises and like how to reform international institutions like the UN, how to deal with our economic systems, capitalism, how to deal with two political parties that um, are like two sides of the same butt cheeks. Um, how to deal with taking money out of politics, how to deal with misinformation and disinformation, how to deal with genocide. Sometimes people reply and go, you know what? They hit you with like a serenity prayer type of joint. You ever get that? They're like, listen, man, remember you got to have wisdom to know the difference between what you can change and what you need to accept, right? The serenity prayer, if I'm right, is grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, the courage to change the things I can, and the wisdom to know the difference, right? A lot of people uh, love that quote. I like that quote. I think there's something powerful in that quote. And from that quote, people can derive an argument to avoid certain things because it can be put in the box of the cannot change. These are the things that are above our pay grade. And our voices are too small and our energies are inadequate to deal with these things. And, you know, you want serenity and peace. What you do is you define these things very clearly and rigidly, um, and avoid those things that you deem you cannot change, you know? But then I want to just point to, because we've been talking about linguistics this whole time. Linguistics is a big part of this whole deal. I think that linguistics is a bigger part of physics than we have traditionally been made to understand. I think that linguistics and the stories that we tell are part of the evolutionary process. The stories that we internalize are massively a part of the evolutionary process in a way that needs to be more properly examined. And so, on something, let's say we're talking about something big and seemingly insurmountable like genocide. One of the things you can't control the IDF. You can't control Netanyahu. You can't control radical religious extremism. You can't control international relations and how the UN Security Council is structured and the veto power of certain nations and how these things, how resolutions are created. You can't control those things. But I think from our understanding of linguistics and storytelling and narrative, we have control over our engagement with each of these things. And so, for instance, if you're now a year in and you're watching a news station or some sort of news source online or traditional media that by now is not using language like genocide to describe what's happening and what's being perpetrated in Gaza and now expanding into other areas. That is the mechanism of control. That's the lever right there. If you are connected to Palestinian journalists, they're saying quite often, they need their perspective to be spread as widely as possible and their narrative to be spread as widely as possible. And while we can't change these political systems, I said in a different episode where I talked directly about what genocide is. The reason, and it's clear that it's genocide by now. Everyone that's reputable is using that language. Genocide came with it the mythology that we had, the sense that we had about the international community, the UN and the entire international apparatus after World War II was built in such a way that when we identify a genocide, what it does is we have the opportunity to immediately identify who the perpetrator is, right? The perpetrator of the genocide is whoever's doing killing right now, that is the perpetrator of the genocide. And it's an opportunity to stop and to marshal the world's energies to intervene and stop that person. And so the language that we're using is relevant, and it is a choice, and it is a source of control that each of us has. If someone comes up to me and tells me that they were beaten and robbed, and I see evidence of that, and then the other person who's carrying a baton and also carrying the other person, like carrying the wallet of the person they stole, like holding those, it's like, no, man, no, that's not what happened. I don't have control, let's say, of either of like what just happened. I don't have control about violence or about theft or whatever their condition was, except I do get to join, if I do get to use language to describe what happened. When I go, do I tell the story of the person who was beaten and robbed, or do I tell the story of the person who claims they didn't do the beating and the robbing? And this is my power. The power is in the language and the narrative engagement that I choose. It's the same power that we have when we internalize a story. We have the opportunity to internalize a story that, like, for anything, for any kind of event or something going on in the world, if I tell myself a story that reinforces some idea that I'm a bad person, or that bad things happen to me, or oh, this is just, life sucks, and I reinforce that, I have power. I have power in my capacity to tell a story that is that offers the opportunity to empower myself, to see a lesson or a path forward or something that I can gain from. We have, like, the narratives we take up are our power. And back to the serenity prayer kind of thing, like, I just want to be mindful that I'm not, again, it's about that wisdom, the wisdom to know the difference. The wisdom to know the difference. So I want to be mindful that I don't carry such a big box, and I tell myself a story that the things I can't change are numerous, and that I'm surrounded by, and that the world is this massive entanglement of things that I can't change. And I can tell myself that story. I talk about uh, in a previous episode the difference between like a Donald Trump, who everyone knows his backstory. You know, his father was a Brooklyn real estate successful, like slumlord slash, residential real estate guy who had multiple homes through Brooklyn. Um, he raised up his son in a kind of a well-to-do environment, a privileged environment. Raised up his son Donald Trump, gave Donald Trump $1 million um, in his early adulthood. Not just that, but the Rolodex and the um, institutional know-how. And when I say Rolodex, by the way, that's such an old ass reference. Your applause for that. You'd be like, Rolodex? That's like in the Flintstones. It's like a bird, like the bird telephone or something. A Rolodex was just like this paper thing with all the little contacts on it, and it rolled. It was a circular kind of deal, and then you had the tabs with the different letters. Today, it's just your cell phone, but the access to networks and people and investors and all this other stuff. Yes, Donald Trump turned that into something greater. It seems it's a whole tumultuous history with that. But if you ask Donald Trump, if you ever have a conversation with the dude, he's quick to tell you how he's a self-made man. He's quick to tell you that. He's quick to tell you how he made it up. He did it. He did it from the slums. He figured it out, you know. Of course, he made lots of decisions in his life, and he did this, and he cut corners and cut people's contracts, and did shoddy workmanship on different hotel stuff, and got margins from that, and made money, made profit from that, reinvested that. And so there's something we might call a savvy in that. Applause for that. But to call it self-made is nutty. It's just a story that he tells himself. It's a story that he tells himself. He doesn't remind himself of, all the people throughout, all the, every step of the process, from his father, his mom, maybe people that drove him around, school teachers, classmates, partners, different things like that. He has a story where he's self-made, where he did it on his own. This empowers him and makes him feel good. It makes him feel a part of the American dream. It wasn't that something was handed to him. He's all this. He's all that in a bag of chips. And I want to contrast that story against people I know for whom life has been very different, where they weren't given that kind of like, a well-to-do and connected father, and where life has been down bad with different periods of difficulty. The story is rarely this kind of, carrying the full story on one's own shoulders, like the self-made man story. In fact, it's often there are different things that occurred to them. There's different. This happened, and we tried that, and that didn't work, and then this person told me they would do that, and it didn't, and they reneged on that, and if only that had happened, and these people did this, and these things didn't work out. And so I'm trying to point to a way of telling stories that in either case, the truth is a confusing, amorphous. I always say that it's a weaving, layered, textured thing, this thing we call life and these experiences. But Donald Trump internalizes himself as the empowered agent at all times. Well, not at all times, right? When things go good, he's the empowered agent. And when things go bad, someone has wronged him. Someone has cooked the book somewhere. Someone's cheating. That's the story. And no matter what's going on, he tells himself that story. And it's built this weird orange monstrosity. He's the concoction and the compiled set of nerves and musculature and bones of this like privileged person who tells himself that everything that goes well is him and he's the greatest and he's the Don and Trump this and that, the greatest steaks in the world, ha ha ha. And he says it with so much confidence, understanding that he's projecting this confidence for everyone else to see. And then there's another story. There's another person who, at some point Trump could have, I guess at some point, I want to point to the power of telling the story that gives you the agency. Like in another other episode, I said like everything is true. I think that that's right. If you tell yourself that you have no agency, that is how it goes, and that's what it is, and that's what the world will be, and that would be a very painful condition, and that will reap certain things. The world will demonstrate that belief to you. It will reinforce the story, and you will find opportunities to reinforce the story, and you will be shocked by and confused by things that contradict that story, and you may not see those things as opportunities. You'll just see them as like sort of aberrations, and you might miss them. So I'm applying this same truth and this same logic to the way that we think about what we can control. Tell a story that empowers you, and recognize that you can't control every aspect of everything, but you control your story, and you control the story that you internalize. And not just the story about you, but the story about the world, and the story about you and the interaction with the world, the story about what does it mean when you adopt the language of the person committing the genocide? What does it mean when you adopt the language of the victim and echo their voice and echo their narrative? And acknowledging that power and not dismissing that power, because it might feel the story that there's no power there is more convenient. It gives us an easier way to sort of avoid even looking in that space, because again, as the Serenity Prayer says, I want to accept the things I cannot change. But again, acceptance and creation are two sides of the same coin. To accept, you created what you accept. We share this planet with so many other sentient beings, and so the things that they create, we interact all of the time. And you speak up sometimes. You don't let certain things stand sometimes. Other things you accept. Again, I hope if we saw in Chicago I think there was like a heinous, was it a sexual assault on a train, and people took out their phones. This is like, and recorded. This is like the assumption of like being this like third party, this outside party that isn't actually there. It's not, this is a movie, when in fact we have agency. There's things that can be done and said, and it's all about the definition of self and the definition of the external world. And your definition will be manifest in like the choice, in the decision. We don't have to ask necessarily, how you feel about it. It'll be manifest in the choice. So this is what I'm saying. Like I talked about the Corey Holcomb interview and a lot of like other media and my experience talking to different men, black men in particular. We can't control U.S. policy towards Israel in the same way we can't control women's uh, sexual desire. But people won't stop trying to control women's sexual desire. They won't stop that. Everything from just penalizing women and name calling and all kinds of stuff like slut shaming, clothes, and there's so many things you can't control. But people will happily walk into these domains of things that are outside of their control to register a complaint, to give language to a problem that they're seeing, to assert what is unacceptable to them. Somehow there's an empowering story that they have that this is okay and this is an important way to use their voice, and a valuable and even like effective perhaps like way to use their voice. But it's all stories. It's all stories, and it I'm trying to also point to the fact that like everything is really one thing. You actually do have control by saying I'm this. You know, if somebody walked up to you and called you by a name that wasn't your name, you would assert the truth of what your name is. And you would do so confidently because it's your name, because you know it, because you know who you are, at least in contrast to the other name, right? If someone walked up to you and called you their servant at a store, you were trying to get some food or whatever, and somebody walked up to you and asked you for their help as like either an employee, but I want to take it further to like a servant just for a second. You would say, oh, no, you got something wrong. No, that's not me. Because you know it. Because you don't accept a label or an assumption or language. You don't buy into a narrative that you know isn't true. And you're confident enough and you know who you are and you know what you're seeing. But everything is like that. And if you don't speak up in those instances, people might continue to call you by the wrong name, or continue to treat you as a servant or something. You have to assert who you are so that everybody's clear. So we have control. Applause for that. Language, narratives, the stories we tell each other, the stories I internalize, the moments when if you're telling a story and you start saying some bullshit, particularly my capacity to step in and assert a different perspective. Rather than kind of sit there and kind of, it's too much, and just let you run amok with your narrative. So nothing is too big. Nothing's outside that scope, unless if you really don't have any information, then it's good to kind of stay out of. You don't. It's not in terms of what you can't change. You can't change. Certain things can't be changed in a sense. Like, what are we talking about in terms of change? We are connected through the words that we use, through the labels we use to describe something. So that is the engagement with reality. It is the lever. If I'm in a room full of dudes and they refer to someone I respect as a bitch, and that's just normal. It is normalized as such. It is. I may not be able to change the mindset of everyone in that room, but that conversation about this person I respect, it is I'm not going to engage with that with that language, with those labels. I'm going to introduce a different set of labels. When I speak at the very, if I'm not going to like correct anybody, but hey, don't talk, like I should be doing all of those things. Those are all available to me. But at the very least, when it's my turn to communicate, I'm going to communicate with language that I'm familiar with and I find appropriate and I find accurate. And that's control. That changes the room. The room has to contend with my accurate language. No anger, no. It's just like I'm asserting the reality that I know because I can do that. And it's not even changing anything. It's my engagement. Nothing changes. It's my engagement. It's my story. It's my truth. And it's again, it's manifesting like the actual action because it's one thing to say you believe something. You can just say that you believe something. Everyone says that they believe this and that. But to do it, to be it, I think that that's what faith is. This is where science and linguistics and faith and religion all kind of merge to me. Let me rephrase that. Science, religion, and the spiritual realms have these mergers, and this is one of them. If you claim to be something, as we can, and I think that's one of the things, like a lot of different faith traditions have a ritual of mantra of saying certain, if you say things frequently, you can start to believe them. And if you start to believe them, you start to actually walk in them. And in the isness of who you are is further attached to that belief. And it comes out in the choice and in the words you speak and in the things you see and things you don't see. It's really that nutty, man. I want to this episode we are at, oh shit, we hit the 30. That's great. I'm gonna close out just by saying that again, Bo, what up, Dr. Bo? What's going on, man? Yo, check out Dr. Bo, by the way. Fantastic physiologist, kinesiologist. Am I getting that right, Dr. Bo? You do quite a few things actually, man, like sports therapy and much more. And a good guy. But yeah, yo, look, it's all one thing and we're all connected. and one of the most interesting things about our connections is our connection of language and our capacity to engage with each other's narratives or to disengage and to agree or to disagree. You know what I mean? And to agree and to really be to imagine yourself as something, right? The goal it's not, I'm not telling you what to be. You come up with it on your own. You imagine yourself to be something, and then you write it down, you come up with a vision for it, and then to actually be it and to step into it is an interesting thing because it kind of requires an initial leap even before you're the thing, before you believe the thing. I've talked about like before you believe that you're the thing, you do the thing and you act as the thing and you speak as the thing and you engage with the world as the thing. And before you even you're not even paying attention and boom, you're the thing. You did it. You're there. And then the challenge there is to notice that you're there, to actually like enjoy it, because sometimes you can develop a psychology that was useful, that puts you through the rigor to become the thing, and you're mindful of all of the carrots and the sticks, and you're moving to be that thing, and then you never like notice that you're there, and you hold on to all the anxieties that you had from before, and you're a different person. You're actually the person that you wanted to be, and you know, applause for that. And that's the episode, yo. We did it, y'all. We did it. Really appreciate it. And I will see you tomorrow. We're going to keep it going. And I'm gonna put you out with, you know what, open-ended today, yo. Let's put it out with open-ended. I really never close out with this track. I don't know why not. Well, here it is. Thanks, y'all. 30 for 30. I'll see you tomorrow. All right? Peace. Catch me at the top majors. It's all one thing, y'all. Straight out the basement. The beat hit hard. I can stop. You see what you're looking for. Dangerous. I'm seeing double. And it's all one thing. And lots of spaceships. Lyrically advanced placement. That shit you dropped was basic. You niggas tripping like forgot the laces. Hate fake bitches with lots of faces. We ballin' like I'm Dr. Naismith. Most of y'all stay pissed, homie. I'm not to play with. You can hate it. I be slanging dick like it's my occupation. Move steady, patient, and catch you sleeping like in the Matrix. Mop the floor with a hater before they say shit. My team heavy, I made it legendary, adjacent. Every single test that I ever took, yo, I aced it. So now they call it rat racing, and they still got us slaving. But my chains is different, and these not the same whips. I'm your rapper's favorite. Paid in full. If Billy not in your top 6, your whole list is debatable. Now wait a minute, had to fight, tussle, and break the limits. Pay the difference, cried so many tears that I could bathe a midget. Stay specific, most of y'all talk just to blaze an image. I'm spitting that black thought mixed with Doom, J. Cole, and Kendrick. You rap about killing on the block with the chrome extended. You should colon cleanse it. I might find you as a whole offensive. Cold and pensive, I make an impact and blow the entrance. Spit so many gems out my mouth that I got a golden dentist. The crown heavy and the throne expensive. My wife get wetter when I'm throwing wenches. We like these hoes eccentric. Bear with me, I'm on my grizzly like Ro from Memphis. You could probably make a move, but you shoot at a low percentage. Open sentence, who realer than us? It's no pretenders, whole process is open-ended.